What's going on, band? The best is, the best that was, the best ever will be. There'll be none before me, and there'll be none after me. Therefore, I am the one and only Jacoby, and welcome to Wrestling Made Simple. We got an action-packed week this week with your news of the week, followed by your SmackDown and Raw reviews, and then I'm going into a review of the first one ever, WrestleMania 1. We then have a reading from the Book of Rules, your Battle Droid of the Week, and your Drink of the Week. Of course, one with Battle Droid of the Week. I'm just starting out with the rundown, but let's get into some news this week, as has WrestleMania 41's location been revealed. Apparently it's a close guarded secret, but apparently it is very close to being announced that it will probably be WrestleMania 41 in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I really hope this is the case. One, I am a lifelong Vikings fan, so it would be awesome to finally see my Vikings stadium. I live halfway across the country, so there is no way I'll ever see. I don't get a chance to go out there. And two, it would be awesome just to see that stadium. It is beautiful. I would look so forward to seeing it. And speaking of locations being revealed, SummerSlam has been revealed as it will be held in Cleveland. Logan Paul made the official announcement. SummerSlam is coming to Cleveland, Ohio. That's awesome to hear. I would love to see SummerSlam in Cleveland. It's very smart to give them SummerSlam, as WrestleMania would be way too cold with the wind coming off of Lake Erie. It would just be too cold for them to even try to host WrestleMania, unfortunately. So, cool to see. Really happy that we're going to get a SummerSlam in Cleveland and hopefully a WrestleMania in Minneapolis. And finally, some big news is a Hall of Famer has been announced. The greatest to ever, maybe greatest professional athlete ever. Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali was an amazing boxer, one of the best ever put on a pair of gloves. And one of the best talkers ever. Man, this guy knew how to sell matches. He was perfect for WWE at the time, and WrestleMania 1 is one of the biggest events ever because of Muhammad Ali. So, let's move on to SmackDown, though, ladies and gentlemen. The SmackDown kicked off with United States Champion Logan Paul saying he is a conqueror. Logan said the reason business is booming in WWE is because of him. Logan then revealed that Prime Hydration has signed a contract with WWE to become the first ever center ring sponsor for the company, starting at WrestleMania 40. Do I believe this is actually going to happen? No. They'll probably pull it, and Randy Orton will probably have something to do with their KO, and that's what will cause a WrestleMania match. KSI then came out. They took a photo in the ring. I imagine it's an awesome moment, though. I'll give it to Logan Paul. That's probably a dream come true, man. Good on him. KSI then came out, and Orton music then hit, but he was nowhere to be seen. Orton then came out and hit an RKO right on KSI. We then got a tag team match between Randy Orton, Kevin Owens versus Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. Kevin Owens and Randy Orton were able to pick up the match. After the match, Paul attacked Orton and Owens. Paul tried to punch Orton using the brass knuckles, but Orton caught him and took the brass knuckles away. Orton went to punch Logan with him, but Logan got away, and he almost punched Kevin, so yeah. We then get a backstage interview with Damage Control Bayley, saying Damage Control was the biggest mistake of her life I made the biggest mistake of their lives by underestimating her. Naomi watched Bayley's interview and was a little teared up about hearing her not have any friends. Bianca Belair said Bayley brought this on herself by creating Damage Control. Are we getting a Bianca Belair heel turn? I'm not mad at that. We then get Bobby Lashley versus Karrion Kross, which ended via DQ as the Authors of Pain would get involved. The Street Profits then would come out. I really hope we're getting the finish of this at WrestleMania and not SmackDown after WrestleMania, SmackDown before WrestleMania. We then get Tiffany Stratton versus Micha and Mia Yim. Tiffany Stratton would pick up the win in kind of a squash match. Sucks to see Mia Yim get squashed. I would love to see her go back to NXT and maybe get a run as NXT Women's Champion. AJ Styles said LA Knights walks around the place like he owns it, but in reality, LA doesn't own it. He doesn't even belong in the same locker room as the Phenomenal One. Styles said Knight need humbling. LA then smashed the TV with a chair and just went out looking for AJ Styles. We then get Dragon Lee versus Angel in a nice little match. Dragon Lee was able to pick up the win, but Legado del Fantasma laid out Lee after the match. We then get your main event of Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins in their promo with the Bloodline. Roman Reigns and The Rock. They basically just Cody slapped The Rock. Roman laughed when he asked Cody what he's going to do with Seth. And it was basically confirmed. Night 1, main event. WrestleMania 40. The biggest tag team match ever. Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes versus The Rock and Roman Reigns. Man. It was an awesome SmackDown. I really did enjoy it. And with that being said, let's move on to Raw. As Raw kicked off with the Scottish psychopath Drew McIntyre talking about Seth Rollins, as he is saying Seth Rollins is a junkie for the spotlight. Because he has accepted The Rock's challenge. Seth then came out and told Drew to shut his mouth and said he'd been screwed by the Bloodline for years, but now he wants to work for the Bloodline. Drew said he had to pin Seth at WrestleMania. He has to do it. It's in his blood, and he must finish this. We then get Becky Lynch versus Liv Morgan. Nice little match. Becky Lynch would pick up the win. I really liked that you actually had Liv Morgan roll out of the ring after the manhandle slam. But I don't know, man. I don't know. It should have been Liv going for WrestleMania. I'll talk more about this in my main event. We then get Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell versus Maxine Dupree and Ivy Nile. LeRae bullied Dupree during the match and says, "You think the internet hates you? Wait till you hear what they say about in the locker room behind your back." And that wasn't even the worst line. I could say the worst line. Fuck it. She then said her dead brother would be very disappointed in her. Yeah, that was wrong, dude. You gotta know what this. And people are saying, this is what's very weird, and I'll defend Christian Cage in that. Christian Cage isn't getting shit for it because they know the storyline. His father was an entertainer. Now, I don't know what Maxine Dupree's brother was before he passed away. I don't know anything about the guy, unfortunately. We all knew Luke Perry. We grew up watching Luke Perry on 90210. We saw him act in several movies and films. We saw Luke Perry. Luke Perry was an entertainer. That's why people don't get pissed off at Christian Cage, because when Luke Perry passed, I guarantee you, if he was still alive today, he'd be like, yeah, I like they're using my name in the storyline. I guarantee you, he'd be like, this is awesome. Yeah. It's why I never got why people were pissed off about Punk using Paul Bearer in the storyline. Yeah, he just passed away and the wounds were deep for the family, but the guy was wrestling. He was Paul Moody. The guy would love to know that he was part of a WrestleMania storyline, and basically almost a WrestleMania main event. If you still ask CM Punk, he will say, I may have ended WrestleMania against The Undertaker. Just my opinion. Yeah, we then get announced for WrestleMania. It will be a 6-pack ladder match for the Undisputed WWE Championships, and teams will be competing later on throughout the weeks leading up to WrestleMania, 3 teams will be from Raw and 2 will be from SmackDown. We then get Cody Rhodes talking about how he'll finally get to hear Michael Cole say at the end of WrestleMania, Cody Rhodes has finally finished the story. That was a good line. We then get Becky Lynch shaking hands with Liv Morgan, Nia Jax attacking them both and putting Becky through a table. After this, we get the Kabuki Warriors versus Shayna Baszler and Zoe Starks to retain their Women's Tag Team Championships. Nothing to write home about in this match. I really thought it could have been written better, and I think it should have been a match safe for WrestleMania. Who are the Kabuki Warriors you had to defend against? If not, then what's the point of them having the titles? These titles should be defended at WrestleMania. Just my opinion. Every title should be on the line at WrestleMania. You got 2 nights. Fill it. We then get Mr. Money in the Bank and WWE Tag Team Champion Damian Priest versus R-Truth in a nice little match. R-Truth would unfortunately take the loss. Judgment Day would lay out Truth, and DIY would come in to help Truth after the match. Unfortunately, they would get laid out as well. We would then get pictures of Logan Paul and Rhea Ripley at UFC 299. And they would actually show Buddy Murphy, Buddy Matthews, AEW star, on the screen. And didn't crop him out. Maybe this is a sign of things to come of a working relationship between WWE and AEW. I don't know, but it'd be nice. We then get announced for next week's Raw. It will be a last woman standing match between Becky Lynch and Nia Jax. And then Jey Uso comes out to challenge Jimmy Uso to a match at WrestleMania. Ooh, goosebumps. I was so excited for that match, man. WrestleMania 40 is shaping up to be one hell of a card. I'll give it credit where credit's due. We then get your Intercontinental Champion Gunther wishing all the participants luck in the gauntlet match. It would start off with Ricochet versus JD McDonough in a hard-fought match. Ricochet and JD McDonough would do everything they can to beat the other one. Ricochet finally picking up the win. You would get Bronson Reed coming out looking to hit an electric chair drop on Ricochet. And unfortunately, that would be it for Ricochet. Bronson Reed would pick up the win. Sami Zayn would then hit a Blue Thunder bomb on Bronson Reed. Reed would attack Zayn after the match with a tsunami. And then Shinsuke Nakamura would come in, try to hit the King Shazza, but Sami Zayn would pick up the win. It would come down to Sami Zayn versus Chad Gable. Chad walking in saying, I ain't doing this, Sami. I ain't fighting you while you're down. Get up. I want this to be real. I want to go to WrestleMania, but damn it, I want to earn it. Unfortunately, Chad Gable didn't earn it. Haluva kick. 1, 2, 3. Sami Zayn picks up the win. Now, I want to say this. Sami Zayn versus Gunther could be one hell of a match. And Sami Zayn dethroning Gunther for the title can be one hell of a match. But it should be fucking Chad Gable, shouldn't it? I mean, come the fuck on. Same with Liv. You're throwing in stars that don't need to be there right now. I mean, you need to build the new card. Build a card with Liv Morgan. Build a card with Chad Gable. These are people that people want to see. People love to see Liv Morgan get the revenge tour. It's just my opinion, but I would love to see, and it's every booker's guilty of it. Whether you're Triple H, Tony Khan, Bubba Ray Dudley in ROH, Eric Bischoff, or the King of Swerves himself, fucking Vince Russo. A swerve is always going to be there for people. And that's what they did here. Sami Zayn and Becky Lynch are the swerve that people wanted, that people didn't want, but that they think will draw in the most money. I think that Gunther versus Zayn is a great match for the IC title. I think Lynch versus Rhea is a hell of a moneymaker. But I would rather have seen Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley, and I would have damn well rather have seen Gunther versus Chad Gable. Or I would have rather seen a triple threat match. Triple threat match for the IC title. Maybe that's what we're going to finally get. And that's how Gunther's going to lose his title. I don't know. Let's look at the WrestleMania card right now as it sits. So I mentioned Lynch versus Rhea. Rollins versus Drew. Bayley versus Io. All of these for the world titles so far. So same with Roman and Cody. That'll be the main event night 2. Roman and The Rock versus Cody and Rollins. Main event night 1. These are all matches that have basically been confirmed. They have been all but confirmed, I'll say that. Judgment Day versus 5 other teams in a 6-pack ladder match. Uso versus Uso. Styles versus Knight. Those are matches that have been all but confirmed. Now let's go over the matches that I could see being added to the card. Orton versus Paul versus KO. I could easily see that one being added. Mysterio versus Santos Escobar. I could easily see that one being added. So right now we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wait, lost count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Right now we're at 10 matches being announced. I could easily see them. So Orton versus Paul, that's versus KO, that's 11. Cargill versus Belair, that's 12. I really do hope they throw in a Kabuki Warriors women's tag team defense, even if it's just on the pre-show of Will of the Knights. The Pride versus the Final Chapter, whatever they're called, the authors, the final authors, whatever. I imagine that will be it won't be a main card match, but it will definitely be a pre-show match if it's added. So right now we're up to 13, I believe. 13 or 14. Because I said Mysterio versus Escobar. So that's 14. And then they're going to throw in John Cena somewhere, whether it's a segment or something. So there's your 15, and then we'll say the Hall of Fame segment. Because they're going to have the Hall of Famers come out from the class and, take up some time, celebrate the Hall of Fame. So there's your 16 segments for WrestleMania. In my opinion, that's what I could see happening. Who are the Kabuki Warriors going to defend against? I imagine it will be a fatal 4-way. Just to get women on the card for WrestleMania. But, yeah. That's how I see the WrestleMania card shaping up for right now. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to review a classic pay-per-view. As we go into WrestleMania, there is one show that stands above them all. The first. The one that Vince McMahon took a chance on. He said, I could fill the garden and I could sell it on this new thing called pay-per-view. But I can also sell it in television stadiums. In television... in movie theaters. I could sell it here. I could do this. I could do that. He can bring in these celebrities and make it more than just wrestling. And that's what it was. Mr. T and Hulk Hogan promoted this on Saturday Night Live. They hosted it. You would have people like Liberace show up. You would have Cyndi Lauper, who actually really helped book this because of her friendship with Captain Lou Albano. You would have Billy Martin, who was the manager for the New York Yankees. You would have Liberace again. I mean, look at these people who were involved in this. And it doesn't have to be the greatest wrestling show of all time. It's what it means. So let's look at the matches and see what the matches live up to the hype. So, for the first match, you get Tito Santana versus the Executioner, who was played by a Hall of Famer, basically in a lot of wrestlers' opinions, and Playboy Buddy Rose. It was very funny to see Playboy Buddy Rose in this. he had wearing this fake mask, and this was the only time he would really bring out the executioner gimmick. You would then get King Kong Bundy versus Special Delivery Jones in a 25-second match. King Kong Bundy picking up the easy win, 1, 2, 3. King Kong Bundy picks up the win. You would then get Ricky Steamboat versus Matt Bourne, who would be the first person to actually play Doink the Clown, in a singles match. It's funny to look at these matches. A lot of them were squash matches, but it was still fun to see. You would have Brutus Beefcake with Johnny Valentine versus David Sammartino, the son of Bruno Sammartino. This would end in a double countout, or a double disqualification. It was one of the longest matches it is the longest match on the card so far. It is the second longest match only to the main event. It's clear they had the idea for David Sammartino, but he was never, ever the wrestler his father would be. He was Rookie of the Year in 1981, 480th Best Professional Wrestlers in 2003, and the Southern Championship Wrestling Heavyweight Champion. He was NAW North American Wrestling Champion, and that was it. The guy would never amount to the stardom that they thought he would. He was an okay wrestler, and they tried to give him proof with this match. You know, one of the longest matches on the card. It just wasn't there for him. We then get Greg Valentine trying to defend his Intercontinental Championship against the Junkyard Dog. It would end via countout, with Junkyard Dog picking up the win, but because it ended in countout, Junkyard Dog would not pick up the title. We then get Nikolai Volkov and the Iron Sheik with classy Freddie Blassie as their manager versus the U.S. Express Barry Windham and Mike Rotunda, who are also going into the Hall of Fame this year. Congratulations to them on that. With their manager Lou Albano. This match would be for the WWF Tag Team Championships, the U.S. Express defending against the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov. This was the heels picking up the win. You need a heel win at WrestleMania, and this was a cool one to have. Again, the legends of Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov picking up the win here. Great match. The U.S. Express, again, it's awesome to see. WrestleMania 1, they were defending their tag team straps. WrestleMania 40, they're going into the Hall of Fame. We then get Big John Studd and Andre the Giant in a career versus $15,000 body slam challenge. That's right. So, if Andre was slammed, he would have to retire. If Big John Studd was slammed first, he would have to give out $15,000. Bobby Heenan did not want to do it. Andre the Giant picks up Big John Studd in 5 minutes, slams him to the ground. 1, 2, 3. Andre picks up the win. We then get Wendy Richter with Cyndi Lauper versus Lalina Kai with the Fabulous Moolah as her manager in a singles match for the WWF Women's Championship. I can finally speak again. Wendy Richter would pick up the win in a 6-minute match. Again, it's one of the longest matches. All these matches either went 4 to 6 minutes or they were 0. The only 2 matches that went into the teens was the 11-minute match of David Sammartino versus Bruce the Barber Beefcake and your main event. So it's funny to look at this. It is one of the greatest matches. It's one of the greatest shows ever, but damn is it short. So far the matches have been okay. They've just been all shorties. One that's really fun to go back and watch are tag team matches and your Andre the Giant Slam Challenge. That's always fun to watch. But your main event is something awesome. Muhammad Ali and Pat Patterson as your special guest referees. Hulk Hogan and Mr. T with Jimmy Superfly Snuka versus Paul Orndorff and Roddy Piper with Bob Orton as their manager. Bob Orton having that cast that just won't heal. Jumps off the top rope, hits Hogan on the head with the cast. When the referee isn't looking, the cast explodes. Hulk Hogan beating the crap out of Paul Orndorff. Mr. T and Roddy Piper exchanging blows as both were amateur boxers. This was so awesome to see. It was amazing. And Mr. T and Hulk Hogan would, of course, pick up the win. This would lead to Paul Orndorff versus, I believe, Bob Orton at WrestleMania 2. And Mr. T and Roddy Piper at WrestleMania 2 in a boxing match. So it's a 13-minute match, but damn, is it fun. And Muhammad Ali being... The people who were a part of this were awesome. You would have the host of the Rich and Famous, who is an unfortunate name I can't remember right now, just recently passed away. Muhammad Ali being the special guest referee. Cyndi Lauper being in the corner of Wendy Richter against the Fabulous Moolah. You would have Motley Crue, I believe. Not Motley Crue. God. You would have a lot of musicians there, as this was an MTV branded event as well, as it was the Rocking Wrestling era with special guest DJs of wrestlers coming on. That's how Hulk Hogan actually got a lot of fame going into WrestleMania after Rocky. So it's fun to look at that. WrestleMania 1 isn't the best show ever. They don't have the best matches, no. If you're going to give the best matches, you go like to WrestleMania 17 or WrestleMania 31. But you look at it for this. It changed professional wrestling's landscape. Granddaddy of them all, WrestleMania 1. WrestleMania 2, meh. WrestleMania 3, holy shit, 93,000 people. And then it just exploded from there. It became something else. That's what WrestleMania is. It's something else. I could use a drink. How about a nice, simple screwdriver? 1/2 ounce vodka. 3 ounces orange juice. Add ice to a highball glass. Pour in your vodka. Pour in your orange juice. Garnish with an orange wedge. Please drink responsibly. Do not drink and drive. Do not drink if you are under 21 in the United States. Do not drink and drive, and do not overconsume on alcohol. And now a reading from the Book of Rules. Championship titles may not be used as weapons at any point during the match, contested under standard rules. The title is to be kept by the timekeeper in the timekeeper's area for the duration of the match. A reading from the Book of Rules. And now, everybody, it is time for the Battle Droid of the Week. The Battle Droid of the Week this week is Candice LeRae. I don't understand the sudden change of character. I get like a slow build to a heel turn or just heel. She needed to turn heel. But this just didn't make any sense to me. It was a heel turn, a swerve for a swerve, and just doesn't make sense. So because of that, Candice LeRae is the Battle Droid of the Week. Congratulations.
Uh-oh.
Now, before I go, I want to say that the Candice LeRae thing as well. I'm glad they're giving her story time, and I'm glad she's getting TV time. That was one of my biggest criticisms against her, but I don't know if this is the way that they should be doing it. I think Johnny Gargano is a national face. He is just perfect as a face, and I think his wife being there by his side as the baby face, kind of like Brie Bella and Daniel Bryan. Both were just perfect faces because they played off of each other. That's why I see for Johnny Gargano and for Candice LeRae. Well, everybody, thank you very much for listening. Hopefully next week I will have my special guest on. Unfortunately, time and a sudden change of schedules did not allow that this week. If not, we'll go into a different WrestleMania review. But if he is on, it'll be a great show. Thank you very much for listening. I've been the big guy. This has been Wrestling Made Simple. Have a great week in wrestling.